Hey guys, so here bringing you another video. Now, welcome to a patch note breakdown. Apologies that we're a few days behind. I was not sure if I was going to do this or not, like, we're nearly a week behind. But one, I've been a bit busy recently, so I haven't fully digested these patch notes yet, and I'm sure some people are the same. There just seems a lot on at the moment. You're watching, Endgame and Game of Thrones, and, you're not really paying attention to the patch notes. So I thought, hey, even if it's late, people might want to know what I think about stuff. Apparently, it's quite a big patch, but because I am a week nearly behind, we'll just go through things very quickly. Or as quick as I possibly can, but apparently it's still going to be quite big. So, Aatrox got some changes. So, the TLDR... But actually, I guess we'll see him later on. But, yeah, we'll just kind of... There's some little changes. So, these are... yesterday of me recording this, changes that they did to the changes earlier in the patch. So they fixed a bug with Rakan's E, they fixed a bug with Blitzcrank's R, and they changed Aatrox because he did seem, I guess, weak? Like, I don't really know. They have changed a bit, and it does seem to be buffs from what they did. Right, so... Champion Aatrox. So what they've done to Aatrox is mainly about his passive and his ultimate. They have done things here and there, like damage numbers and that type of thing. But he now, with his ultimate removed, taking lethal damage during World Ender, no longer revives Aatrox. So he doesn't have the revive anymore after, I think, he gets one takedown. Takedowns extend World Ender by 5 seconds, refresh its movement speed, and allow Aatrox to revive. So... he needs to get a takedown, then he can revive. There we go. That's the way around it is. So yeah, if you get an ace while you're in ultimate with Aatrox, you're going to be extending your ultimate for 25 seconds. So yeah, as long as like the kills are kind of spaced out in time, you'll have ultimate kind of permanently up in a team fight, which is kind of crazy. So I do think that this is an Aatrox buff overall. I do think it's seen a reflection in his win rate and stuff like that. There has been some personalities that saw these patch notes and they kind of make big things going, that win rate's going to suck, and then it turns out to be the complete opposite. But yeah, I think Aatrox is doing quite well at the moment. Blitzcrank. So he's getting some VFX updates. He's getting, obviously, with VFX updates, usually comes some gameplay updates. So his shield has been nerfed. Interesting. And then all the other stuff has been changed, and then his passive of his ultimate used to be lightning. Lightning no longer randomly arcs of Blitzcrank, so obviously your passive is just little lightning bursts happen, and then if you press it, they no longer do. But while his ultimate is off cooldown, Blitzcrank marks targets hits by his basic attacks, and then that will then do lightning damage and stuff like that. So it's a bit better. It enables him to focus his damage a bit more rather than it being a bit random. Rakan is getting some buffs, so he did get a little bit, I think, like hurt last patch. So, but it's a different type of a buff. They're reducing his attack damage, less auto attack damage, but giving him more tank capabilities, which I think's good. His W dash speed has gone up, and his ultimate, Rakan can no longer cast Grand Entrance or Flash during the first 0.5 seconds of the quickness. So that his ultimate is the quickness. So you just have to wait a bit longer. Like, you can't do that instant engage, which some people still have a problem with. That's why he has got tanky, because there's a window for him to get damage now. But it's better than what they were going to do. They were going to basically make it that he no longer can use abilities at all during his ultimate, but now it's only for the first 0.5 seconds. Soraka, apparently he's got quite a lot of changes, you can see with her Q. Enough that people are randomly now playing her mid, by the way, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, people are playing Soraka mid because the Q healing is insane on herself, and the way that I've kind of seen it, if she hits a Q, it gives herself a buff, and then that buff can then enable healing on her allies a lot more. So, yeah, again, we're just going through this kind of quick, because I kind of know, like, the general things that are going on. The cooldown has been buffed for her E in the early game. The mana cost, however, is going up. The ability power is also a slight nerf in damage, base damage. So here and there, like, she does a lot more healing than she used to do from my knowledge on herself and her allies. But there has been some nerfs regarding that. So Tahm Kench, again, this is one of those that people going, oh, Tahm Kench is going to suck now, but his win rate apparently rose like 4 or 5% from these changes. So health has gone up. Health growth has gone down a bit. Movement speed has gone up. He's passive. He now does a flat 1.5% maximum health damage all levels instead of it scaling. So it now is kind of like, it levels out at rank 6, 9, 11. There we go, 11. Than what it used to be. His Q slow duration has gone up. The cooldown has been buffed in the late game, nerfed in the early game. Tongue range, however, has gone up, and the slow has also got buffed 20% at rank 1, which is quite considerable. W is now grounds and slows Tahm Kench by 95%, same as devouring an enemy champion. If you eat an ally, and then mana refund, 50% of Tahm Kench devours an enemy champion. So if you manage to get an enemy champion, you'll get some refunded cost. It costs 100 mana now, that's gone up. The cooldown, however, has gone down, kinda. Nerf in the late game, buff in the early game. And the damage has gone down, and the enemy champion damage has gone up considerably. So there's... Oh, well, actually, it's changed. It does flat damage, which it never used to be, but it has now better scaling. So yeah, it's probably a buff by quite a bit in damage. So there you go. Because it's doing flat damage plus target's maximum health. So there you go. E, the heal has gone up. Yep. The shield has gone up. Yep. So it does seem that they're basically making Tahm Kench tankier is where I think they're going with it. Like, more annoying, tankier. Again, when you eat an ally, I think you can't really move anymore. Like, 95% slow on Tahm. It grounds him. So you can't get knocked up in that time. That's what ground means. But you can't really move. I think that's fine. Akali, simple champion changes. Slight nerf, I think. Extended duration when breaking invis down to 2 seconds instead of 3, and the cooldown has been nerfed as well. Jesus. Again, the W is the most annoying ability of Akali, so yeah, a 4-second nerf at rank 1. 4 second at rank 1, 3 second, I think, at rank 2. So that's a pretty big nerf. Darius apparently is quite strong, so I will be looking to pick him back up maybe on the main account, maybe in the next couple of days, but apparently he's seen some considerable buffs, mainly around his healing and the damage and that type of thing. So again, I don't really think Darius needed buffs, but he got them for some reason. Sure. Echo, his base attack damage has been buffed, and his E mana costs has gone down. I think that's pretty cool, because he doesn't build that many mana items, really. Hecarim, probably some big nerfs here. So the bonus damage of Q has gone down 5%, was 10, now 5. And his E, which again, his E damage and everything just seems insane. Like, at level 4, you're seeing a Hecarim run over somebody and, like, nearly one-shot them. You're like, what? So the minimum damage has been nerfed, and the maximum damage has been nerfed. So there you go. Yeah, he is really strong. He's still strong, by the way. I played against a couple today in solo queue. Jarvan, he had a sudden surge of popularity recently. Don't really know why. I don't think he got that many changes, but people kind of just realized, hey, Jarvan's not bad. Which happens, you know, that is a thing that does happen. Health has gone down, mana's gone down, mana regen has gone down, so all-round nerfs there. Shield has gone down. It was a bonus shield up to 3% of maximum rank per enemy hit. But now it's a 1.5. So if, again, people don't know that when you're in the middle of a team fight as Jarvan, press your W on the most amount of enemies that the slow hits, and that gives you the shield. That gives you a bigger shield. So yeah. So Demacian Standard has gone a nerf by 1 second. So all round, nerfs of Jarvan, pretty much. Kennen. I've been playing a bit of Kennen. So they actually have removed the resistances from Kennen's E, which I kind of agree with. He didn't really need them. The whole point of Kennen is he's ridiculously squishy. But he can kind of get away from people. What was happening in higher rating, I get it, probably Korea, there was this build that was coming about that was maxing your E to get the highest resistances possible in the early game. So Kennen's basically could just kind of stand still fighting people. They've got rid of that. So you will 100% no longer do a max E build on Kennen. It just won't be a thing anymore. And the resistances have now, by the way, gone to the ultimate. So you won't max E, you'll max Q or W, but you'll still get the resistances, just a different way of doing it. So again, 60 bonus armor and magic resist at rank 3 is actually pretty good for Kennen, who won't really build anything tanky. Kindred, passive mark spawns later in the game. Obviously, this is due to her crab. The crab change came in. Crabs now spawn at 3:15. Kindred marks are later in the game. Lysandra, W damage increase late game. So there's something. Again, I never kind of think of Lissandra as a carry, a hyper carry, so maybe they're trying to get her that way, but I don't think she'll ever be. Like, she's... Aftershock is brilliant with her. Like, basically any mid lane carry that is going Aftershock isn't really like a hyper carry. So she's just kind of like that tanky CC mid laner. Even with damage buffs, I don't think that's going to really change. Maokai, Q damage increase, so we are seeing a little bit of tank play coming back, which I kind of expected, so that's cool. Morgana, E cooldown increased and shield strength decreased, so there's a general nerf to Morgana. Rek'Sai has obviously seen crazy amounts of play recently, so they are nerfing attack damage growth. The damage of the Q has been higher cooldown of borrowed Q, the missile that you can like shoot out, and the E has also been nerfed by a little bit. So yeah, all-round nerfs for Rek'Sai. Shaco. Haven't really seen Shacos in a long time. So Sweeping Lens no longer reveals and immediately activates Stealth W. I don't know why it wouldn't. Like, that's a bit weird to me. Again, I really don't think Riot knows what they want to do with stealth and, you know, vision type things in the game, because they keep making decisions and then completely going against them 6 months later. So now your vision doesn't work against that, I guess. So Jack in the Boxes now have a small activation range indicator. Sweeping Lens only reveals the boxes. So it reveals them, but it doesn't activate them. Okay, I thought that was like a good counter, because, you know, you have to use a trinket to base out Shaco boxes. So now that doesn't work. Shen has been, I think, buffed. Yeah, he has been buffed 2 ways. So tanks again coming out a little bit, and also he's good against current meta things. If you're somebody that's like, God, what do I do against Riven or Jax? Shen honestly isn't a bad answer to them, but obviously you're putting a lot of faith into your team. Shen can hold those champions off. Hell, he actually can kill those champions if you taunt people into towers and stuff. You can avoid their auto attacks with your W. You can do quite well, but obviously there is part of it that you will get outscaled. They will be able to kill you if you make a little mistake, but can you as a Shen do enough? Can you ultimate to save a teammate? Can you taunt 3 people? So that's the kind of balance with Shen, but a buff is nice in actually his damage one-on-one. Sylas, a W base damage increase, or a buff to Sylas with his W, which is kind of interesting. Not an AP buff, just a base damage buff. Volibear. Again, people forget this champion exists, I think. His W bonus attack speed increased. So that is going to help him, I guess, a little bit with jungling and jungle clear, because his jungle clear is pretty bad. So it's actually gone up by quite a considerable amount, by the way. 4% at rank 1. So 5%, sorry, at rank 1. So yeah, not bad. Hunter's Potion's been removed. I think it's just because people didn't buy it. Like, I think Udyr might have been the only champion that bought it more than the average. Manamune, bow down Ezreal mains, so they are nerfing. No, they are buffing Manamune. So because they obviously took away the double tier build for Ezreal, some people think that's her Ezreal. Honestly, I don't really think so, but they're buffing it anyway. Some updates for Ashe, some updates for Caitlyn, Jax, Renekton. All of these are VFX updates, graphic updates in one patch. So they are trying to really update the game, which is cool. Aftershock has been getting some potential nerfs. Resistances no longer scale with level. Now scale with other bonus resistances up to it. Oh, this is them trying to get... They are trying to get rid of the, like, Lysandras taking Aftershock, or the Sylases taking Aftershock. They're trying to make this back into a tank rune. Obviously, tanks still take it, but they're fed up of AP mid laners taking it, which I think is fair enough. Minor rune tuning. Again, we don't really need to look at all of these. There's a lot of just little changes that, again, they'll be noticeable, maybe, but not by much. So the Rift Herald now is a 1 minute and 15 seconds later in the game. So right now, there's a lot of frustration between junglers and laners due to an expectation for a laner to help the jungler secure Rift Scuttler when it first spawns. 100%. So many times, like... I think the only place that I think the frustration comes in is like when a jungler is specialized and they are a jungler. They don't lane at all. They're not used to being a mid laner. And they kind of go, hey, mid laner, come to my scuttle and help me. They don't understand how much that can ruin your lane phase. Like, if you go and help them, you're gaining nothing for that. Like, let's say no kills happen, no assists happen. You just help them. You're in the general area. There's no jungle contesting, or maybe a little bit. But what happens if the enemy mid laner stays in mid? you're screwed as a mid laner. Like, they get 1 or 2 waves ahead of you, they get a level ahead of you, they get pressure. It's just not worth it. So what Riot are doing is they're making it later, so people are like settled more into their late. I kind of like it, but and it will allow people to put vision in areas a little bit more as well. So I agree with that. Again, I'm not a big fan of Scuttle Crab, if I'm honest. I do find it kind of gimmicky. And the upcoming skins, this patch is Conqueror Alistair, which obviously is with the MSI tournament. And then we get Conqueror, Alistair, Chroma, Varus, Nidalee, Karma, and Ari. So again, they used to call them Challenger. They renamed them to Conqueror for some reason. And that is it. So overall, a lot in the patch, which is kind of weird because I thought Riot said they were going to tone down patches. Kind of seems like they've gone the opposite. But there's not really anything that I disagree, which is good. I know there's people that are mixed about the Aatrox changes, but it overall does seem like it's a buff. The Blitzcrank is cool. Again, some champions, they're getting changes, which you have to question kind of why, like Darius. But yeah, overall, I think it's an okay patch. The champions that got buffed, cool. The champions that got nerfed, cool. Again, still nothing about Vayne or Riven. They just... Riot's just ignoring them, I guess. But yeah, that's going to be it. If you guys have any things you want to talk about in the comments, you know, is there any things that you're surprised with? Any champions that you're like, why did that change? Or where's that champion? They're not doing anything like a Vayne or Riven. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, if you think it's a good patch as well, that'll be also something that I'd like to know. But yeah, throw a like. Again, these videos generally don't do as well, so if you can just take a little bit of effort, throw a like, throw a comment, help the video do better, that'll be awesome. And I'll see you guys next time. So again, like, subscribe, see you guys next time. See ya.